class, this is Dr. McGonigal with another Research Methods 2 lecture for you. Today we are going to talk about writing the abstract. An abstract for your APA style article is a brief, comprehensive summary of the article contents. It allows the reader to quickly see what you did in your study. You want to make sure that it is written so that it is accurate, concise, and non-evaluative, meaning that you're reporting what you did or found, not really commenting too much on that. You want to be careful to follow APA formatting guidelines and make sure that you do not exceed 200 words. So your abstract should generally be between 150 words and 200 words. Keep in mind that the abstract is meant to be a standalone piece of writing. What I mean by that is the reader should be able to read the abstract without having to reference anything else within your study in order to understand it. For that reason, you should never include things like citations in your abstract, because the author would have to the reader would have to go and look up that citation. But in fact, you want your abstract to be a standalone document. This is maybe why you may have noticed that in abstracts where there are citations, you have a full reference within the body of the abstract. What I suggest is that you stay away from citations in your abstract and just follow the guidelines that I present in the next slide. When you're writing your abstract, there are 6 key things to include. Number 1, you want to state your general problem or research question. Number 2, you want to include maybe a statement of the importance of your study. If this doesn't make sense for your study, provide a bit of information about your study variables and hypotheses. Number 3, you want to state your participants, including the sample size or N. Number 4, you want to state the general procedure briefly. So you don't want to give too much detail here. You don't want to include any information on the measures unless your study is a measurement-related study. Number 5, you want to briefly state the statistical analyses that you used and the results of your hypothesis testing. And number 6, you want to state a basic concluding sentence or 2 that includes the main implications of your study. Here's an example of an abstract. This is an abstract for a study that I actually conducted, although I modified it to be a little bit shorter and to fit a little bit better with the guidelines that I've presented here for illustrative purposes. So you'll see that there are different colors in this abstract example, and the different colors correspond with the different pieces that I just went over. So you can see that the lighter blue is 1 and 2, which is the problem, importance, and hypotheses. Number 3 is in purple, and that's your participants. Number 4 is green, and that's the procedure. Number 5 is the analyses and results in red. And number 6 in dark blue is the implications. So let's take a closer look. I start by saying the problem. Primary care physicians, abbreviated PCPs, are integral to the health of all people in the United States. However, many PCPs experience burnout and declines in well-being. We conducted a randomized controlled trial of a 6-session positive psychology-based coaching intervention to improve PCP personal and work-related well-being and decrease stress and burnout. We tested the effectiveness of coaching on PCP burnout, stress, turnover intentions, work engagement, psychological capital, compassion, job self-efficacy, and job satisfaction. So in that part, I am talking about what the problem is, PCP burnout and declines in well-being. I'm talking about the importance of that problem because PCPs are so important to keeping people in the U.S. healthy. And then I talked about my hypothesis, or my hypotheses, I should say. Now note that I didn't state hypothesis 1, blah, 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 hypothesis 2, blah, blah, blah. Instead, I kind of summarized them a little bit here. Okay, so let's move on to the next part, which is participants. In purple, I said 59 U.S.-based PCPs were recruited from hospital systems in the northeastern U.S., were randomized into a primary or a waitlisted control group. So the primary group had N of 29, control group had N of 30. So you can see there that I had the number of participants, a brief information or statement on where they were recruited from. Number 4 is the procedure, and that's in green. So let's go through that. Outcome measures were assessed via online surveys at pre-intervention, post-intervention, and at 3 and 6 months post-intervention. So in that sentence, I give a very brief overview of the procedure. Note that I did not include any information about my measures or any details that were not necessary here. Number 5, I have the analyses and results in red. I stated results of repeated measures MANOVA testing indicated significantly decreased burnout and increased work engagement, psychological capital, and job satisfaction for the primary group from pre to post coaching compared to the waitlisted control group. Results further indicated that the noted positive changes were sustained during a 6-month follow-up. So there I am talking about the test that I used, repeated measures MANOVA testing. I provided the results in terms of what I found in the study. And number 6 is implications in dark blue. So this is kind of a brief summary of your discussion section. And in this, I say results indicate that coaching is a viable and effective intervention for PCPs in alleviating burnout and improving well-being. We recommend that employers implement coaching for PCPs alongside systemic changes to work factors driving PCP burnout. So I just have 2 quick sentences there that provide an overview of study implications. So kind of zooming out and taking a look at this, we see that it roughly follows the structure of our paper. So 1 and 2 correspond with our introduction, 3 and 4 correspond with our method, 5 corresponds with our results, and 6 corresponds with our implications.